I will code a web page which has a sidebar, and we will use height and min height in this web page to see how it works. We will use the CSS and JavaScript. I will code two examples. One example is with Flexbox and another is without Flexbox. This is the final output of the program which we'll be writing using Flexbox, and this is the output of the program which we'll be writing without Flexbox. We will have a main body and it will have a button here and a text. On click of this open button, it will open a sidebar. On click of this close button within a sidebar, it will close the sidebar, and the sidebar will occupy the full height of the page. The height of the sidebar will include the height of all the elements within the sidebar. So we will see how to code this with Flexbox and also without Flexbox. Here you can see that even though we have couple of elements here, the sidebar by default fills the visible screen's height. Let's start coding. Here I have the file for writing code with Flexbox and here without Flexbox. This is our content. Let me apply some styles. You can see that our sidebar and main body is not occupying the full visible visible screen space. It's due to browser applying a default margin value. I usually reset the default margin value for all the HTML elements by applying this code. Now it's occupying the full space. Let me apply display flex on the container. You can see the sidebar and main body side by side now. Let me add button to close and open the sidebar. We have the button to close and open the sidebar. Let me write the JavaScript code. Here we have a sidebar, and let me create a by default the sidebar will be closed. In that case I can have the display as none here, and I can create a CSS class as open, and here I have to add that CSS class to this sidebar. So I will create a sidebar ID. I'll also have a ID for main body. I think we don't need to use get element by ID method for ID uh, for elements that has an ID. Let me try this. I think it's remove. So it's working. Um, if we click open, the sidebar is opening. If we click close, it's closing. Let's add a code that will add more elements to the sidebar. You can see that if you directly access the method, let me just remove this. You don't get the intelligence for that will come along with that, which the IDE will provide. I will show you the difference. Here you can see the properties that sidebar ID exposes for us to use, but you will not see it if you don't create an object with the document.getElementBy ID. So here I am generating a lot of child elements within the sidebar element. Now if I click open, let me, there is some error. It's not of type node. Okay. It's working now. You can see that we have had a lot of elements in the sidebar. This works. Now let me reduce the elements. Whatever we have coded so far will be the same thing which we will be using with when we code an example without Flexbox. So I will just copy paste the code. Only the CSS logic will vary. Now I copy pasted the code. Let me continue working with the example with Flex. We can see that the height of the sidebar is not occupying the full page, but if it occupies the full page, it will look good in my opinion. So let's see how to allow the sidebar to occupy the full height. We can set the height as 100%. So currently the height of the sidebar is same as the height of the page. We can also use the property value inherit, it will inherit the value from parent. So this works. Now let's increase the elements within the sidebar. You can see that the height of the sidebar stops within the first visible screen. When you scroll down, the height does not extend to other elements that are within the side nav. How to fix this? You have to, in order to fix this, you have to use min height as 100%. So now you can see the height of the side nav includes all the elements within the side nav. This is the difference between height and min height in this scenario. Now let's apply the transitions just to make it look good. Let me remove this display properties. Let me add position. We will apply width to the sidebar. Width will be 20%. If width is 20% and if you want to show the sidebar on click, then we need to move the sidebar towards left 20%, and when we open the sidebar we can set the left value as 0 and we can apply transitions. We can apply to left. So now this works. If you want to move the main body to when the sidebar comes into the visible area, then we need to add some additional code. Let me here I will just use the ID directly. ID of the main body directly, and so the default location position of main body is 0 and we have to move it by 20% because the width of the sidebar when it's visible in our visible area is 20%. So and we can also apply the transition here. Okay, it does not work. The left property will work only when you have position relative in it. So okay, now it works. Okay, this is how we can use height and min height in Flexbox when you use display flex. If you are not intending to use Flexbox, then how height and min height will work in this scenario? Let's see that now. Let's go to the without Flexbox file. Without flex. Now we are in without flex file. This is the default layout which we have. We are able to open and close. You can see that here we have the display flex property. Let's just remove that. If we remove that, we can see that the elements are coming one above the other. So first, since we have the sidebar on top, sidebar is showing up first and main body is showing up below that. So can close it, open. So how to make it appear side by side? In order to do that, we need to apply display inline block property on both. Inline block meaning it will occupy the width the width of the element will depend on how much content the element has. So right now you can see still the elements are on the sidebar element is at the top and main body is at the bottom. We can set width as 20% for sidebar, and we can set it as 80. Still you don't see any changes here. Let's set it as 79. Now you can see that the elements are appearing um, horizontally. Previously it was vertical. uh, the reason I have added 79 here is by default there is some space between the sidebar and main body when it aligns horizontally. So if we are setting it as 80, 80 plus 20 is 100 plus this value, this gap, so it exceeds 100, that's why it's coming below. That's why I have added a 79 for now. We will come back to this later. Now it's appearing side by side. I can uh, align it vertically. You can see both elements are appearing side by side now. Let's start working with the open and close buttons. Here we have it as display block. Let me remove that, and I have on click open will show display block. By default the sidebar will not be on the screen. So you can see that it's appearing one below the other still, right? Because the display is block. So if we add inline block, then you can see they are horizontally aligned. Okay, so this is fine. Now now you can see that it's hidden, but as we added the width as 79, uh, the default view is occupying only 79 percentage. The remaining 21 percentage is unoccupied, uh, right? So we have to work on this. Before working on this, let's make this transition little bit more smoother, as we did in the previous example. Now let's remove this. Let's add position as absolute. I will add this as relative. Even this as relative. So here we have the width as 20%. Uh, let's change it to -20, and on open we'll have it at 0%. Left 0%. Let's see now. I can see it above the element now. Now the open close works fine, right? um, Now we have to see how to use height and min height here. By default, the height depends on how much elements are present within the sidebar. How can we make it make the sidebar to occupy the entire height of the visible space? So to do that, we have to add a height property, but it does not work. um, let's try it. So here we have a HTML body height. We also have to set the parent height. We can inherit it, and now if we inherit from the parent in the sidebar property, now you can see it occupies the full page height. Let me add more elements to the sidebar. You can see we are facing the same problem as we did with display flex. In order to fix this in Flexbox, we added min height at the container level, at the parent level, but here we have to add it at the element level itself. So here we can set min height. Now you can see it occupies the height of the sidebar, includes all the elements within it. If you reduce the number of elements, it will still occupy the full height of the visible area, right? So this is how this works. Now this is the difference between height and min height. Let's add one more transition here and check it. Now let's move the main body when sidebar comes into the visible area. Left will be 20%, and here we can set width as 100%, and let's check it. Left is 20%. Let's apply the transition. And we have to apply this CSS in main body. Now let's check the output. It works, but there is something going on here, and you can see it exceeds the width of the screen, right? So how can we fix this? So let's set the width here to 79%, because as we know, uh, when when we have both the elements side by side, the sidebar occupies 20% and the main body occupies 79%, as when we checked it previously. Now you can see that both are appearing uh, in the same visible area, but here there is a gap. Let me increase it to 80%. Now it works. Both are appearing side by side, and appearing side by side, and it occupies the entire width. But there is some issue when there is this when we have this transition, right? In order to fix that, we'll add all, because the width is currently 100%, with left is 0%, and here we are increasing, we are changing the values for both left and width. So if we have apply transition for both left and width, it will work. You can see that it's working, right? Now the both sidebar and main body is completely packed within the visible area itself. So far we learned about the differences between height and min height, how both works by coding a web page with a sidebar, and we also learned how height and min height works with flexbox and without flexbox with an example.